is very deep and it's very beautiful, and it's worth doing again. There's a tremendous amount of information in the Mimor. Okay. Maybe if I sit closer, maybe that's better. No.
I can hear you just fine.
All right. All right. This Mimor talks especially about what happens when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos. Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos, and that's what this sweet year is. So if you remember, we learned two Mimorim about Rosh Hashanah. One was talking about the big shofar. Remember shofar gadol? And that's going to be caused by the people who are pushed away and lost. And then we learned this Mimor. So let's go. Tקעו בחודש, שופר בחסד ליום חגנו. Sound in the show in the month, the shofar, the chesed, the holiday for the day of our rejoicing. Mavur Kavod Kedusha's Morei Chamiad, more the previous Rabbi explains. Nasi the Reina, he's the leader of our generation. In his Mimor Divra Maschil Tקעו Tafshin Zayin, before 40 years. I have this really good story to tell you about the Lubavitcher Rebbe. I'll tell it in the end. Okay, this is Mavur, it's explained in Dibra Maskal Tקעו Tafshin Zayin before 40 years. And after 40 years, a person can reach his level of his teacher. This Mimor was said on Tafshin Mem Zayin. 1987. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe said his Mimor 1947. Same name. That the rabbis say on the pasuk Eiza Chag, which holiday is the moon, Chodesh, that the moon is hidden in it, which is the only holiday in Judaism that starts at the beginning of the month when the moon is hidden. I'll have to say this is Rosh Hashanah. Right? The sentence doesn't say Tקעו b'Rosh Hashanah shofar. It says Tקעו b'Chodesh, sound in the month, or in the renewal. The chesed, when it's hidden, which is the month that the moon, Chodesh, that's the moon. The month is hidden. The only holiday that's when there's no moon out, just a sliver of the moon, is Rosh Hashanah. Chesed, says the Rebbe, means mechased, that the moon is covered. Chodesh means the moon and is covered. That's Rosh Hashanah. Simple meaning. Says the Rebbe, there's a Kabbalistic meaning. Because all the holidays, everything in Judaism, in fact, everything in the world stems from spiritual things. Can't take the world at face value. Just like you can't take a person at face value. When you take a person at face value, he's not a person anymore. It's like an animal, like a machine. So you can't take anything at face value, especially Judaism. And what is the holiday that the moon is hidden? That's Rosh Hashanah. What is this moon? The moon is Spirit HaMalchut. This refers to God's creative power. Bechesed, this is case covering hay. This is the month that there's a covering over the letter of hay of God's name. The hay refers to Spirit HaMalchut. Oh, this is pretty important because according to Judaism, that's the thing that's keeping the whole world in existence. No Sfirat HaMalchut, no world. It's pulling the plug out. Al Sfirat HaMalchut. That's Kes Hey. Kes is Kisui, covering over. This is the Chesed, that Malchut is hidden. What does it mean Malchut is hidden? So who would ever dream this? But God has a system by which he creates the world. There's a system. And he begins the system brand new every year on Rosh Hashanah. And the system depends on the relationship between us and him. That's it. That's the story. What's the story? God created the world. He created the world in 6 days. The last thing he created was man. And the whole thing depends on this interrelationship between man and God. The world is very, very important to God. Very important. But he put it all in man's hands. So here we have three forces, what I call it, characters. Hashem, he's the creator. That's Malchut. Then we have the world that God created in 6 days. And then we have man that God created in the very end. Rosh Hashanah is called Keseh. Why? Because on Rosh Hashanah, the Sphira of Malchut, on Sphira, the Rosh Hashanah, God makes an inventory. This creative power, mitchasit, it is concealed, umitalemet, and hidden, behelam atzmi, and an essential concealment. It's almost like, let's say, if you had a person gets married, and every year, he has to start over again. Right? A person gets married, every year before the end of the year, he has a sort of a divorce, right? They write a temporary divorce, and then he starts going on shidduchim with his wife again to decide, does he like her? Does she like him? Let's see. That's what happens on Rosh Hashanah. On Rosh Hashanah, it's like the yearly shidduch, right? Person goes out, goes on a shidduch, meets a nice Jewish girl. They get married. Comes near the end of the year, and then the end of the time, 1 year passes, and they say, okay, that's it, shidduch time again. We redecide. Right? Every year we redecide. Is it worthwhile to remain married or not? Something like that. In other words, on Rosh Hashanah, God makes a decision. He reevaluates the whole entire world. Is it worthwhile for him to create the world? And this whole thing depends on the Jewish people. Right? Does he still want to be remarried to the Jews or not? Of course, it's a terrible example what I gave. It's an example. I mean, I just made it up because God can never get divorced from the Jewish people. But he can sort of pretend. That's what the idea of the destruction of the temple and such. Anyway, that's Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is that God's relationship with us is, in limbo. And we have to sound the shofar and bring things back. Maybe we can add on, this is the holiday that the moon is covered in it. Simply, what does it mean? The Chodesh means the moon. Let's put this thing about Malchut aside. Simply, the moon is covered. Know that the Levana, the moon, is also Spirit of Malchut. It's also God's Spirit of Malchut. Because what is Malchut? The aspect of God's kingship, like I said, we see it 100 times every day. Melech Olam, Melech Olam, Melech Olam. That's how God, so to speak, goes out of himself. He creates the world. gives the Torah. The Torah comes from the inside of God's kingship. The world comes from the outside of God's kingship. The world comes from what's called the Asara Mamoros. Mamoros. And the 10 utterances. And the Torah comes from the Asara Devoros. Devoros. 10 commandments. They're also called speech. But nevertheless, the whole thing is God's Malchut. Lochen, therefore, Ikar Avodat Rosh Hashanah, the main service of Rosh Hashanah is building up, rebuilding this relationship between us and Hashem. It's called building the aspect of Malchut. Kamaim, like the Rabbi say, Omru lefanai Malchut, say in front of me sentences of kingship, Kedei, in order, Shetamlichuni Aleichem, and that I should be your king. In order to draw down this aspect of God's kingship, it is by means of sounding the shofar, Tקעו, etc. Right? It's like when you went on a shidduch with your wife, as you played a song for her, you wrote a song for her, played a song on the guitar. Oh, this is really like. Every year you have to do the same thing. It's the same thing with Hashem. Every year we have to sound the shofar, and when we sound the shofar, Hashem is very impressed, and he says, okay, let's try another year. Hine, behold, you do it is known. Of course, the big difference is that here we're talking about the whole world depends on this. Now, every single Jew has the power to do this, to renew the relationship between us and Hashem. Every single Jew. So that's talking about each and every one of us. You do, it's known, Diuk Moreno Baal Shem Tov is known. But the Baal Shem Tov said in Ket Shem Tov, but Pasuk Zed, the Havdalah, it should say, the Pasuk is grammatically, could be improved. It should have said Tקעו Shofar בחודש. It should have said sound the shofar in the month. Tקעו Shofar בחודש, sound the shofar in the new month. The Baal Shem Tov says something very powerful. Why does it say Tקעו בחודש? Why does it say sound on the month? Ki yirat ha'adam that the yira ha'adam tadir, a person should see to it constantly, sheyeh b'chodesh. What does it mean? Tקעו, a person should always see that he is brand new. Ratzul means l'chadesh ma'asim tovim, to do new things. Shelo yiyeh kamo chok kavua, it should not be like a set law, a set custom. Right? You're about tshuva, a person's about tshuva, and he gets really excited. It's like a maid, like getting married. So he's about tshuva, he's very excited. The Torah to tefillin, oh, wonderfully kisses them. First time he eats matzah, he just almost cries from happiness. Look at this, he's a Jew. But then next year, okay, and then the year after that, so now we can teach other people. He already knows what he's doing. But then get about 10 years in, so it starts to become a little bit boring already. And it could be even a big, not just boring, but a big, how do you say, a burden. Burdensome. What do you have to run? You have to do all these things. What does it mean? It means that the person was only thinking about himself. The person was thinking about himself. In the beginning, he was very happy because it was a new thing to him. It was a new thing. He was blowing, sounding the shofar, he was eating matzah, this. He wasn't thinking about what he was doing so much as he was thinking about what was happening to him. Oh, I am a big religious Jew now. I can look in the mirror. I have a beard. I have this. But eventually, it starts to get sort of, when he also looks around, he sees that other people are also not so excited. even if people are excited, he can't tell it because being excited in Judaism doesn't mean you're jumping all around and you're smiling and telling everybody, showing off. Look at this! I have a new piece of matzah. So, but if you think about the godliness, that's supposed to be the idea of Chassidut. If you think about godliness, the godliness that Hashem is keeping me alive, that's very amazing. I am not the center of reality. Hashem is, and no one has any idea what Hashem is. Hashem is infinitely, not only that Hashem creates us, He creates our understanding. You can't understand that. But it's so miraculous and amazing. A person should always be thankful. And everything should be brand new, that you can serve Hashem, no matter what situation that you're in. So everything is always brand new. If a person looks at everything being brand new, and every second being brand new, and every second just being thankful that I'm still alive and that I'm a Jew, so that's what the Baal Shem Tov says. Taq'u בחודש. We'll see the word tiku means to be strong. You should always be brand new. Things should, how do you say, flow. Yesh lefarasha, don't take yourself so seriously. You have to take Hashem seriously. Hashem is creating you. You are not creating yourself. Maybe we can explain like this. The Mekiv and Shabbat Pasuk's sense in this sentence. Kai is talking about such a very important thing. Namely what? Rosh Hashanah. And that's the union on Rosh Hashanah, to make God a king on us. And God is asking us to make a king over him. Therefore, yesh bo hara yikari. Therefore, there is a very important lesson for every single day, every single moment, every single instant of our lives, and even more of our attitude. Uklalis ba'avoda ba'klalis, and a general teaching and a general service that we have to serve. That's what a Jew is supposed to be, to serve Hashem. That's what our life is. Nothing more meaningful and amazing than that. When a person serves Hashem, it has to be always brand new. You have to be like a little child of it. You have to be like a child. Not totally. It doesn't mean you have to be simple and wear diapers. Right? It means that you have to have somewhere down there. There has to be a basic feeling that I'm really lucky. Hashem is creating me. This is incredible. Everything is brand new. Shebakol pam ubakol rega. Every time, every moment, everything that you do, Yasu, you can do it like a brand new thing, mamash. Huh? Everyone you meet, every child, every occurrence, you see a sunset, you see the wind blow, you see a flower. Ooh, flowers are incredible. You see the house, everything is brand new. Everything is fresh. There are sometimes there's people who are artists, and they can catch this. They can catch the beauty of a moment, the beauty of a drop of sun, a drop of rain, a beam of sunlight. Those people, a lot of times, they do it for others. Here, doing it for yourself. You can see, amazing. The world is a very, very, very amazing thing. How we got here, incredible. But ulai, maybe we can add on to this. The zeu gama diuk lashem tiku. Okay, so what's he saying? Tiku b'chodesh. B'chodesh, you have to always be new, because that's the fact. We all are being brand new all the time. And when a person dies, he doesn't stop being new. The soul exists forever. The soul just goes to a different situation. A situation that we've been there before. I don't know what it is. I'm not interested in finding out. But nevertheless, I'm interested in what's going on right now. That's the idea of tiku. Tiku is chozek v'tokef. Tiku, the word tiku also means to sound, but it means something that's firmly inserted, something that's very strong and how do you call it in Hebrew? You call it yetziv, stable. Taq'u means something that's strong and powerful. That you have to insert yourself powerfully, hachi gadol, without any change in your service. In other words, you are loyal to Hashem. Right? You are loyal to Hashem. You are looking for the truth. That you're not going to stop. That's supposed to be something which is, I think, that every human being is supposed to be. A person is looking, he's interested in the truth. He's happy with everything that he has. Happy with everything that he has. Most sins come from a person's desire to control. He wants to be in control. He wants to be certain. He doesn't want uncertainty. He's willing to steal. He's even willing to take tremendous risks in order to steal. But he wants that money. The money is in front of him. Right? He's going to be in control. He's going to be in control. Even those people who love to take chances, right? That's their comfort zone. That's their security zone when they're on the edge. When they're on the edge, they can't accept what God is giving them. It says the people that go out to war, on one hand, a person who's a warrior, every single second is changing. He has to really live with it. There's arrows flying, and there's back then, I'm talking about. And he has to watch out. The job is not just to protect yourself. Your job is to get the enemy. So he always has to be on edge, and he always has to be progressive, and he always has to be positive, and he always has to be, everything is changing. But on the other hand, there has to be something very basic that's always the same. Namely what? I am a soldier for my country, right? I know who I'm loyal to, and I know that I am a soldier. Same thing, a person's a musician. I am a musician. It's very difficult. Sometimes people don't know what are the principles, right? People get into this, they want success. They'll do anything for success, anything for success. Right? They talk about honesty and truth and integrity and everything, but if they're alone, nobody hears about them. So what was really the principle? Where was he taqua? Where was he really firm? What is his basic principle that he will never? That's what he says. Taq'u בחודש. You have to be very strong. In what? He says you have to be very strong in the fact that Hashem is the boss and Hashem is creating you all the time, and that every second that you can serve him is a brand new second. It's a gift. That you have to be constantly with that feeling. I am serving Hashem. Every second is a gift. By means of this, every single instant of your service is like something brand new. So is life. And this, we can explain the connection between what it says before that in the Torah, the Baal Shem Tov, that's the idea of a miracle. He explains what is a miracle. A miracle is when something is the first time. When it comes the next time, it's called nature. Because behold, because really everything is a miracle. Huh? Why did you see that? What? Look, the sun rose up. What are you, normal? The sun rises up every day. What's the story? Right? Oh, yeah, I'm so happy. You don't know. I just got this amazing gift. What did you get? I just breathed. What do you mean you just breathe? You're breathing all the time. I know. I'm so happy, man. You have no idea. I remember there was this really wonderful Chassidic. I understand he was a tremendous Talmid Chacham. His name was Rav Zalman Astulin. He lived in Bnei Brak. There's a story about he was in Russia in the concentration camp, and he lost a leg. One of his legs, was something wrong with it. Anyway, I used to pray with the same thing that he prayed in Bnei Brak, a place called. I remember one time he came out of the bathroom, and I was just going into the bathroom. The bathroom was sort of outside of the shul. He came out of the bathroom. I was sort of going in. He was washing his hands, and he looked at me. He said, "You have no idea how let's say, what it really means to make a happy asher yotza, the blessing you say after going to the bathroom. You have no idea what it means to be a happy, a gashmak asher yotza, a happy blessing asher yotza, until you had problems in that area. You know, who knows, maybe you had some sort of an operation or whatever. So you have no idea how you appreciate going to the bathroom until you've had difficulties going to the bathroom. So we don't have to have difficulties. The Rebbe is saying every single second, that's just our personal health. Serving Hashem should really make us, a minute, everything is a miracle. Really, it's true. Another thing that happens is it's more, all right. The Yesh L'Kasher is with the Torah, the Baal Shem Tov. She called Davar Shabbat that everything in the world, Nischadish B'Kol Rega, is renewed every moment. Umashi Nikra B'Shem Teva, that which is called nature, is only because Yitzchadjus Kavar Hayatal Lefneza. That was called nature is because it goes according to certain laws of nature that the same thing repeats itself. But the fact of the matter is, it's an incredible miracle. In fact, the word nature itself means something that you can't understand. That's what nature is. Nature means something you can't understand. Why does a dog bark and a cat goes meow? Why not that? Because that's their nature. No, can you explain why it is that way? That's the way, that's their nature. Right? Why does the sun come up from the east? It doesn't come up from the west. Right? That's nature. What are you talking about? It's like I heard once somebody say, you know, God did not create the world, it's the laws of nature. Okay, good. Well, who created the laws of nature? Nature itself means something you don't understand. You can't understand. It says, because something that is renewed, a miracle that happens every time. The best example is the manna in the desert. Manna, right? The Jews were walking in the desert. 40 years there fell manna, and the Jews complained nonstop. There were clouds of glory that surrounded them and everything like that. The Jews were always complaining. Al Yadayis Bonanos. I mean, you think about it every second. I mean, you just think about it for 1 second. Here you people, you're living in the land of Israel. We had the biggest miracle of all, you know what I mean? It's just incredible. We're surrounded by enemies, like a sheep surrounded by 70 wolves, and they've got all this weaponry and missiles, right? So we built a big wall, so they shoot missiles over the wall. I don't know if you were here. If you were here 4 years ago, 4 or 5, and they shot 4,500 missiles at us, and we did nothing. We had this Kipput Barza, we stopped 700 of them. So that means there was 3,800 missiles that nobody stopped. And the fact they don't shoot that many every day, God forbid, it's an amazing miracle. We're just living on and that's just simple miracles. The fact that we're living at all, forget about the missiles. And we're living in the Holy Land. Wow, it's amazing. And when a person thinks about this, that every second is brand new. And especially every second that we can serve Hashem is even double new. By means of thinking about this, Gufa itself, Masha B'emet, which really everything is brand new, this gives power and everything in the service, Sheyasu Ba'ofen, that it should be brand new all the time. Okay, so did we divert from Rosh Hashanah? Not really, because every second is Rosh Hashanah. Every second the world is brand new. Every second our life is brand new. Every second is brand new. And it continues afterwards in the Mimor and Tafshin Zion that's what it means. Bechesa, it means also, Bechesa also means Zman Umoed. The previous Rebbe continues in his Mimor that this word Bechesa that we have over here also means a special time. Why? Because there is a special time, Mugbal, to draw down and to make this Malchut. The Yeshla Bara Kesher, we can explain the Kesher. Let's continue with our metaphor that we said, right? That every year you have to write this sort of temporary divorce bill to your wife. And you have to start over again. New shidduch. New shidduch. And it's always on the day that you made your decision, you wrote it to the Rebbe that you want to get married, or you made your decision you want to get married, right? On that day, you have to write temporary divorce bill, and you make a new shidduch, and you reconsider. Do I want to stay anymore? That's the same thing with God. God creates the world. On the day He created the world, He created man. He writes this temporary divorce bill, right? You're sort of separate. That's Rosh Hashanah, and He reconsiders. So you have to dress really nice, and you come, you make a shidduch just like you did the first time. You know what I mean? But what if you decide not to come on that day? Right? You want to really, really prepare yourself. Right? So you come on a day too late. You kept me waiting the whole day. No, there's a certain day, a certain time that you have to make this meeting. Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the day when God and us make this second shidduch, third shidduch, every year another shidduch. This is already 5,781 shidduchim we've made with Hashem. There is a zman u'moed mugbal lahamshich bechinas malchus. Malchus. I mean, maybe I guess you could say that it only started from the time of Rosh Hashanah. Maybe, I don't know. Even though it says that Avram did all the commandments before they were given. So before Avram was like 2,000 years after the world was created. So let's say not 5,781. Let's say 3,781. But anyway, a lot of shidduchim we've made on that day. But you have to be there on that day. There's a special time that's when we decide to make God a king, to renew the wedding. We can explain this to Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, according to the Rabbi Magid, that the Rabbi Magid that's brought other places, okay, Shizman, time is a creation. Okay, here we learned that what? The second paragraph, we learned that every second has to be brand new. And especially every moment that you can serve Hashem has to be new. Always be young, always be serving Hashem, always be fresh. Everything is a miracle. That's what we learned, right? Now we're saying, nevertheless, even though everything is new, brand new every moment, the Rosh Hashanah comes on a certain time, because time itself is a creation. And as you probably noticed, the world is a very, very tremendously complicated place, with all of the atoms and quarks and molecules and interactions, and incredibly complicated. The difference between creations in the sea and in the land and the protozoas, incredible. And the same thing with time. Every single instant is different. That's what we just finished learning. We're learning in the Rambam about Kiddush HaChodesh. Time. Time is created. Mizeh movement from this is understood that just like Rosh Hashanah causes a renewal in the physical world, like we said, Zayom Techilat Ma'asecha Deed Zikar Yom Rishon, remembering for the first day. Similarly, that physical world was created brand new. Similarly, it also Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of time. Rosh Hashanah is the brand new, the renewal of not just the actual physical world, but also the category of time and place and their existence. In other words, God decided on Rosh Hashanah, not only did He create the world, but He also decided what the world is going to be. There's going to be time, there's a book called Sefer Yetzirah. the secrets of creation. It says that God gave it to Adam, to Avram Avinu. The secrets of creation, how God created the world with the 10 sfirot, and the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. 10 sfirot, the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and altogether that comes out to be the 32 paths of wisdom. Kabbalistic stuff, but on the other hand, that's what's creating the world. It says that the Rabbi used it in the Gemara in order to create a person. Rabba Bara Gavra. Because, okay, let's just do a little bit more. Because on the 25th day of Elul, the world was created. And Rosh Hashanah was really the 6th day of creation. And it was also the day when man was created. And so what exactly happened on the first day of creation, the 25th day of Elul, and what happened on the last day of creation, the 6th day of Tishrei? The first day of Tishrei, excuse me, I'm sorry. First day of Tishrei. 6th day of creation is the first day of Tishrei. What exactly happened? The 25th day of Elul is the first day of creation. 6 days later man was created. But in our prayers, we don't say. In our prayers, we say that when man was created, that was the beginning. And it was only a remembering for back then the first day, 6 days earlier. So when man was created, that's called the beginning of creation. But nevertheless, that day is a remembrance to the first day. So one second, it's the beginning of creation is the 6th day, and that was the beginning. And it's a remembrance for the first day. How could it be the first day is not the beginning? So it says, I'll explain. We'll go a little bit over the time. Even though the creation of the whole world was created at the first instant, like it says, Breshis Bor Elokim at the Shemayim Adoretz. Like it says, the beginning, God created the whole business at once. But Rashi also says, everything was created at the first instant. And then God brought it. How much more so that then there was created the Gidrei Hazman v'Makom, or the category of time and place in their existence. Because the whole world was created in the first instant. Nevertheless, so that's the beginning of creation, the first day. Why do we say the 6th day is Tchilas Masach? The completion of the creation was on the 6th day. Why? Because that was when man was created. And therefore, Davka Yom Zeh, specifically on this day, is called the beginning of your deeds, a remembrance for the first day. And this, we can understand also that this day was called Chesed. Now we can understand why this day is called Chesed, means the appointed time. Zman HaMoed. Why? The 6th day of creation is called the appointed time. Because the 6th day of creation, that was really the beginning. Kihine, Kihagam, even though that the creation of the whole category of time, place, existence was on the first instant. Nevertheless, on the 6th day, Davka, that was the completion of time and place, etc. Mishum, because Zeu Yom Briat Adam Rishon, this was the day when man was created. So what was man was created? I mean, everything was created the first day. I don't understand. Everything was created on the first day. Man was just created on the 2nd day. But man also must have been created on the first day, wasn't he? It says no. The main thing of man is that he was brought out into the world and had free will. Before the 6th day of creation, there was no such thing in the world as free will. The Adam Rishon Paul Shlemos, that Adam was able to make completion in the whole entire creation by means of drawing down godliness into the world. It's the same thing as a wedding. What happens in a wedding, right? Two people meet, it's very nice, but then they got to get married. They got to get married. They make all the plans. They take pictures, and they buy tuxedos, and they make the hall and everything. But the thing depends on actually that, the wedding. The actual unification comes after the wedding. So there has to be that. So if that doesn't happen, then the whole thing is not worth anything. The whole hall and the band with the food, with the clothes and the guests. So really, when everything really began was this, the wedding in mind. That was when man was created. Man was created, that gave reality to everything. Why? Because man has free will. That's the whole idea. That's why man was called man, because of Admel Elyon. I mean, also if you think about it, getting married is not really, if you think about it, it's no big deal. Just two people get together and say, okay, we'll get married. Let's make an agreement. That's it, and quiet. On the other hand, you have to get a whole a band with food, with arrangements, with the guests, right? I mean, the wedding and the guests, everybody's dancing and they're all happy, and it costs much money. And there's the caterers and everything. And the bride and the groom, they're just sitting in the middle. They're just quiet. They're just quiet. This is the same thing over here. The fact that man was created, that's, in a way, not such a big thing. The whole world was there. God created the whole entire world. The first day, everything was there. God brought out the stars, the heavens, the angels. And then he created man. Right? He says, but that's the whole purpose of the whole entire thing. That little decision that man can make to serve God or not to serve God, that's the whole purpose of the creation. And that's the whole idea of us sounding the shofar. And we make this little tiny step, it puts meaning into the whole world. That's why man is called Adam, because Adameh, because he is Adam, he is similar. Adameh, he is similar to God. Man can draw godliness below and make God dwell in this world. An impossible task, and man can do it. Begidre zamanu makom. That's the whole question. That God could create a world. Say that's a very big miracle that God creates the world. That's what we learned over here. It's a big miracle. It's a big miracle. Everything is a miracle that God is creating. But it's nothing compared to our free will. When we decide with our free will, that's the whole purpose of everything. As we'll continue, God willing, tomorrow. All right.